Move. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Coping Mechanisms, episode 3. This is the third to last drawn-out explanation that I will have for this podcast. I still did not know what I was doing with filming. I knew what I was doing with audio, at least, kind of, but lighting and the camera setup and everything, especially where we were, which was a rooftop in Costa Rica, it was a lot. And just dealing with the elements, the whole thing, it was not really what I wanted it to be. It was still okay, and it's more of an art project visually, but the conversation was really significant. I think it was the best one that I had done up to that date, and it's really important to get out there. So this episode is with an acquaintance that I made out in Costa Rica named Johnny. I don't know his last name. He's completely disappeared off the face of the earth. I've tried to get in contact with him, but I was not able to do so because it turned out that Johnny was in the Israeli Defense Force. He is an American, was an American his whole life. He moved to Israel when he was like 18. Unbeknownst to him, he would be involved directly in the October 7th incident that we all heard about in 2023. And yeah, I know that this is a really contentious subject. I know that I risk a lot of flack and criticism for this conversation, but it's one that I feel is important to have. Now, I always preface these conversations, especially around any sort of geopolitical conflict, that I don't know enough to really have an opinion, but what I do know enough about is people, their experiences, and helping them to tell their story and understand what it is for them to go through difficult experiences. And I think that we did that really well. Johnny has an amazing story, and he seems to have a really good heart. So what I hope to do through this conversation is to provide some context that most people will never have really seen, which is, what is it like for a 30-year-old guy to find himself in a really, really difficult war, a really complex situation that is fundamentally untenable. It seems to be an unmanageable situation. It's really difficult on both sides. I don't really believe in picking sides like this. Again, my perspective is just to look at the humanity of the situation, and that's what I tried to do here. So this is Coping Mechanisms, episode 3, with Johnny in Costa Rica. Thank you. All right. Sweaty boys in Dominical, eh?
Yeah.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. It's an honor to be here with you.
Dude, I'm so stoked that we've been able to just make this happen. We're on top of the roof, the Cool Vibes hostel in Dominical. We're definitely not supposed to be up here, but they left the door unlocked to this little construction site they have on top. And yeah, let me even jump a few steps back. Welcome to Cope, people. Thank you so much for being here. Johnny, brother, thank you for being here, my guy.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
Yeah, so this will be episode 3-ish of this, little series I've been sitting on for quite some time. It's been a brainchild of mine for like 7 years, trying to play around with it and like understand what it is that I really wanted to do with it. It's really a projection or a vision that's been born from like an ethos, I guess, or like a logos that I've developed for myself. And I think it's all really related to just like how I've found my way through life and how I've realized that other people see me kind of and what I do, and like just trying to distill like what people find interesting about me and what I find interesting about other people.
Okay.
So for me, that point between or where doing cool shit and taking care of yourself.
Okay.
That's everything that I'm fascinated by. And you don't know like a ton about me, which is like why this is so cool, because we get to just jump right in. So I'm a holistic health and life coach, and that's basically what I've been doing, is helping people embody whatever it is that they see that they like or fuck with in me. And like I've been trying to figure out like what is it about me that people admire. And for me, it is fundamentally like, as I started taking care of myself, I started doing cooler shit. And as I started doing cooler shit, I started taking better care of myself, and it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. And so that's like really what my whole life has been consumed by, and those are the people that I'm interested in talking to. That's why I'm fascinated by you. I just like, dude recognized dude of like, oh, this guy's fucking jacked. Like, who is this guy? Like, what's going on? We start talking. We end up surfing together yesterday, and it's this beautiful thing. And we get to talk a little bit, and like you just have this super fascinating life that I almost didn't even want to get into with you, because I knew that I wanted to podcast
Fun
with
to have
you.
this moment. Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. But anyways, enough of me rambling, man. Like, welcome, brother. Like, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm doing great. I mean, just to begin with, being here in Costa Rica, it's been an amazing trip and place for me, and the people that I've encountered along the way.
Yeah.
I think you kind of said it, is that you run into these fascinating people along the way. You definitely being one, and I know that I have not yet really heard your story, but just from your energy and your aura, I mean, I see the way that you go about your days, the way that you are finding time to take care of your own personal individual needs. You have your quiet time, your time to introspect. You have the time that you're social. When you are social, you connect with people very easily. So I definitely picked up right away.
Real recognize real, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for this. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It's cool just to like, yeah, just real recognize real. That really is it. Like, there's just like this mutual respect, especially among men. I think it's really difficult for men to take care of themselves. So I think it's really cool when you've been on your journey and you see another guy doing good stuff for themselves. Like this morning, you're like, I was like, are you gonna go to the market, the farmer's market, the Ecoferia or whatever? And you're like, I'm actually gonna go do my meditation on the beach. And I'm like, let's fucking go. Like, I just love that because we need it so much, because we're, as men, like, we're so caught up in this like do always, and just like always this constant machination of just always going and projecting forward without really taking care of ourselves. I actually sent a message to my friend this morning. I was like, dude, I have this reminder that comes up once a month to text him and say, make sure you do not work yourself to death. Make sure you take care of yourself, you know, just to try to like be that reminder for like other men. And I think it's so cool just to be able to share space doing that and encourage each other, and just like real recognize real, that little bit of a hat tip. It just re-secures you in what you're doing. But yeah, man, so like let's scoot back a little bit. You have a very interesting story. I like recognize you as like an American, like immediately. I'm like, oh, like sweet, an American, because it's not very common out here. And you know, there is a certain like litmus test, just like the barrier of Costa Rica. It's not an easy place to get to. So there's like a certain like just mutual respect already. But then like people are like, have you talked to the guy from Israel? And I'm like, that guy?
He's American.
Like, he's definitely from fucking Chicago. And they're like, no, he's from Israel. So can you tell us a little bit about like that? Like, what's up with that?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
it's a loaded question.
It's a loaded question. It is. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess the place to begin is really when I moved to Israel. That was about 13 years ago, when I was 18 years old.
Do you want to bring us even pre that?
Yeah.
Like, bring us a little bit, like, kind of this formative years of becoming a man?
Definitely. Okay,
cool.
So let's take a big step back.
Get it,
All right. So my life story, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. So I grew up in the north suburbs of Chicago, about 30 minutes outside of the city.
Okay.
Definitely grew up in a middle class town. Had a very comfortable life, and I'd say that I'm very blessed to have had that. I definitely grew up in kind of the bubble that I feel that most Americans grow up in, and it's kind of this expected life path that, we all do high school, finish high school, go to college, finish college, and go straight into working. And I guess I'll get into my my beef with that a little bit later, but first the story. When I was growing up, I was definitely, the sporty kind of dude, hanging out with the other athletes.
What sport?
I played football.
Yeah.
I ran track. I boxed. That was outside of school.
Cool.
And there was a certain point in my childhood, I'd say when I was about 15, 16, that I began to get exposed to a lot of different ideas that were not that popular amongst most. The movie Into the Wild, that was one of my favorite movie.
Dude.
Favorite movie.
That's why we connect.
Okay. Is that one of your favorites as well?
That was a formative experience for me, for
100%.
sure. Yeah.
That was like, watching that really opened up my eyes to understanding that you can step out of this, destined path
Yeah.
that we think we have.
Yeah.
It gave me a lot of I guess it helped me. It just helped me understand that there is other ways to go through life, and the pursuit of adventure. I think at that point in life really
Yeah.
spoke to me. This pursuit
Yeah.
of adventure.
Yeah.
And I think adventure for teens at that age is actually, I mean, if you look at civilizations from the past, that's actually a very popular time period when I don't know, the clans would expect that the young teens would prove themselves worthy, throw them out into the wild and tell them only return when you've hunted your first animal. You know,
soul quest, a rite of passage.
rite of passage,
right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I think that it's deep within us to want to have that experience.
I agree completely. Yeah.
So Into the Wild spoke to me. The book Ishmael, which we spoke about that a little bit yesterday.
Yeah.
All these different ideas kind of around this idea that the predestined path isn't the best way to find yourself, to understand who you are as a person, to connect with your soul, to understand really what this life is about for you, because that answer is different for every person.
Yeah.
That being said, I was young and I didn't really have the outlet to understand how to effectively move forward with that thought process.
Yeah. Were you thinking like that before? Like, were you always like, you're very intelligent, obviously. So, like,
Thank you.
were you taking that intelligence and poking inward, or like, was it these books that spurred that for you, or did the books like kind of answer like an itch that you already had?
I think that they were. I think they were the things that really spurred me to begin thinking that way.
Okay.
I grew up in a household that valued, family vacations in nature and going hiking rather than material, having the nice car, for the family.
Yeah.
Or so I wouldn't doubt that my childhood and upbringing, being surrounded by nature, being that also wasn't that conventional for the place that I grew up. Everyone kind of put more emphasis on the, I'd say, consumerism and materialism,
Right.
whereas my family was very much not like that. I'd say we were kind of the odd family from where I grew up.
Did you have that angst like within yourself though, like as a kid? Like, did it still like, even though you say like, I mean, I kind of get like what the way that you said it, I guess you're like, it's almost like you've made peace with it now. Looking back, you're like, I know I was blessed. I know I'm grateful. But like, did you have that like angst
Back then? I don't think that I did necessarily. All of this really came about from these external sources. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, looking back, I recognize that I definitely was, in a lot of ways, different than most. And I really think that was just from the kind of different upbringing that I had. But that different upbringing, I think, allowed me to access those external, books, movies that were able to affect me in that way. Because many people have seen those movies, right? Or
and they're like whatever.
Yeah,
but
they're
you
like
could
whatever.
receive that
Exactly,
right?
to actually internalize that and have that click and mean something very deep to me. Yeah. Yeah. So after having been exposed to these different ideas, I began to feel pretty lost. I shared these new thoughts with a lot of my friends who I don't think quite understood where I was going with this, or what exactly it was about these ideas that really meant so much to me. Most, all my friends planned on going to college, going to work afterwards. And so I think I began to feel very much like lonely at that point. I had all these feelings. I felt like a loner. I didn't have anyone that seemed to understand me.
Yeah.
And at that point, I began to hang around more with, I guess, the druggy group. And again, this is in the context of high schoolers, so
Yeah.
not shooting up heroin or anything
Yeah,
like
just
that.
like a lot of like pot smokers and like people
Yeah.
that are outside on fringe already.
Exactly.
You find like just outsiders find comfort in other outsiders.
Exactly.
Even if it's not for the same reason.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I had a lot of that too, man.
had a lot of that, too.
lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Smoking a lot of weed.
Smoking a lot of weed.
A lot of weed, just because like it allowed me to like get outside of like the conventional norm. Like just I think a lot of it was not even necessarily about the weed. It was just about doing something different than what other people were doing, because I just knew that I didn't want that.
Yeah. Rebellion, right?
Yeah. Just anything but that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then with that, actually, now that you mention it, also came just this kind of thrill of the altered consciousness that came with it at that age.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, here I am getting some sort of adventure, or
Yeah, psychonaut, like the adventures of a psychonaut substitutes for the external adventure that we want.
Exactly.
So you start journeying inwards and like seeing like how just like how high can I get off this gram?
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I would hang around with them a lot more often. I kind of disbanded from my other group of friends who really were my true good buddies that really did care for me and love me. And I began to neglect them, hang around more with the pot smokers. Over a joint, I could share my ideas with them, and they might not deeply understand it, but they'd say, yeah, for sure, bro, I get you, man. Yeah,
like they
society
accepted
shit.
in a weird way.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is weird to wonder, like, are you just like so passive that you'll accept whatever, or are you like genuinely like hearing me out?
Right.
That's a trip.
Yeah. And I don't think that they really understood. I think it was more like I just felt good with their acceptance of whatever my ideas were.
I have a lot of that looking back now. Like I took a gap year between high school and college, and like there's a particular few people that I hung out with who also were like not going to do the norm and go to college. I like really thought that they got it, and I was really heartbroken after that gap year, or even during the gap year when I was like, I'm going to go to Costa Rica. Like I actually came here when I was 18, and I was like let's go do some cool shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah. And I'm like, what do you mean? I thought we were like, come on, dude, like let's go. And I'm like, damn, like maybe you didn't really get it as much as I thought.
Yeah. Like you guys shared, I guess, certain experiences or a lifestyle for a short time period.
Yeah.
But it didn't do the same for them, kind of change the course of their life like it may have done for you.
Didn't transpire into something that's pragmatic.
Yeah.
It's not like, like a lot of those dudes are still in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, where I grew up. And it's just like let's do something with this, man. And like, I like broke myself over like trying to get them to like come and like do cool shit. Yeah, it's a weird thing. And then like you wonder, like, did we just bond over cynicism?
It's hard when you see people that you care about and love, and I think you understand that there are these deeper places to go in life for your own growth, and you know that would work the same for anyone else if they were to pursue their own path, and it hurts when you can't get that across to them, right? And
it sucked. I remember a buddy of mine bought, like, he was like gonna go before me, like before I went to Costa Rica. He bought like a big backpack and he was gonna walk across the U.S. and he bought a journal and all this shit. He walked 10 miles to the closest Chick-fil-A. His ex-girlfriend picked him up, and he stayed there for fucking 7 years with her. And
oh my God.
Got her pregnant. She got sick as fuck, started taking care of her. And like, it was this whole weird thing where I've like really just tore my heart apart, like trying to get this guy. I'm like, dude, you were the one that told me to go to Costa Rica. I'm like, come on, dude, like where? And it's not that you have to do my thing.
Right.
I just want you to do something. And
but he gave up on his thing, right?
It's this weird thing, and like I think that's why I value these conversations so much, because like to me, like the simplest summation of what it is that we're doing is like, I respect and love you because you're doing it. Like you're doing shit. Like you like I don't care what you're fucking doing. You're just doing shit.
Right.
You know?
You're pursuing. You recognize when someone is pursuing their unique life journey, when they've connected to the inner side of them and are giving into life happening to them, with them,
Yeah.
for them, right?
Yeah. They're doing the dance.
They're doing the dance. They're
Yeah.
doing their dance, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you recognize when someone else
Yeah,
is doing
it's
that,
real,
right?
recognize real. You're like, yes, dude. Like, you're just, again, like here, like whenever you meet people in Costa Rica, I mean, every once in a while you just meet somebody that just, like, how the fuck did you end up out here? But most of the people that you meet, like, it takes significant effort, especially where we are now in Dominical. Like, it's not an easy place to get to. It's not like a common place. It's not a big vacation place, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So take us to your story. You're
Okay.
hanging out with
Yeah.
potheads,
So
smoking a good bit of weed.
Yeah, smoking a good bit of weed.
Yeah.
Began to do hallucinogenics, which had a nice place actually in as well, I think, in formulating and solidifying some of these ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too, man.
Yeah.
Me too.
But in the grand scheme of things, I was a hormonal young teen that should have been developing, and I was just smoking a lot of weed.
Yeah.
And was angry because I knew that I didn't want to be here in school, and I want to do something other than what everyone else is doing, but I didn't know what, and I didn't know how.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the means to understand at that point.
Yeah.
So with that came a lot of trouble at home. I have amazing parents. I'm blessed to have a great mother and father that parented me and my brothers in a phenomenal way. Me and my brothers are super close. But at that point in time, I was definitely beginning to be a very moody and guess aggressive with all the drugs in me, with the hormones and and one morning. On my way out to school, I packed my book bag with clothes as opposed to my school stuff. Said goodbye to my mom. She thought I was going off to school. And a buddy of mine drove me to downtown Chicago. I jumped on a train to California, bought a ticket.
Nice.
And I thought that was going to be my, me getting out.
Your into the wild moment.
My into the wild moment. That's it.
Yeah.
Running away and heading out to California.
Yeah.
Well, in retrospect, I realized I didn't have any money. I was, I don't know what would have happened to me as a 17-year-old on a train to California with no means to survive. And so about halfway into the train ride, about a day and a half in, I fell asleep on the train, woke up to some police officers in Nebraska.
Fuck.
Asking for my ID.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, I was.
That's a pretty peaceful way to go, though. Some people get the fuck beat out of them.
Yeah.
Like, the train game is dangerous.
Definitely. No, that was, I guess, not a bad way to get picked up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brought me to the local sheriff's station. It was in a little town in Nebraska. Don't even know the name of the town.
Yeah.
Waited there about 24 hours, and then came along these two big burly men. But it turns out there's a thing called adolescent transporters. This is a service where your legal guardians will essentially temporarily sign away for, like, say 48 hours, sign away their guardianship over you to these other people. And it just gives them the authority to take you wherever they want to go.
Jesus,
right?
dude.
Right.
And you're, like, learning this in the moment.
In the moment,
like,
yeah.
What do you mean?
Yeah. So these guys handcuff me to them, take me in the car. We drive to the airport, walk me through the airport. I'm handcuffed to them.
Yeah.
It was a very strange thing. Everyone's looking at me in the airport, doesn't understand what this kid is doing, handcuffed to these big two guys.
Yeah.
I didn't
talk
know
to your parents at all?
At this point, no.
Fuck.
At this point, no. I had no clue really what was going on.
Fuck,
I was
dude.
like,
Yeah.
is this legal? Like these random guys just taking me away. Is this legal? And I didn't know where I was going either. I saw that we were boarding a flight to Samoa. Had never heard of Samoa. The guys were saying it's a beautiful island. You're gonna love it. It's a great place.
Jesus.
I said, okay. Like, I really just had no clue what was going on. It all seemed so surreal.
Yeah.
Boarded the flight and off to Samoa. So Samoa is a small little island near Fiji. Right,
So random.
very random. So there's a reason. There's a reason for Samoa. Samoa is, if I'm not mistaken, the only place in the world where you have to be 21 years old to be considered an adult.
Shut the fuck up,
Yes,
dude. Oh my
yes.
God.
So as opposed to being 18, where if you are sent to a rehab facility, I was headed to a rehab facility, turns out, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, in the States, if you're sent to a rehab facility, once you turn 18, you can check yourself out. You're a legal adult.
Right,
You can
yeah.
say, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the whole catch of this place, sending teens that are on the verge of turning 18 and kind of taking away the possibility for them to check themselves out once they turn 18.
That is a wild move.
A wild move.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
In the moment, I was not happy.
No.
In the moment,
yeah, you're like, fuck everything, dude.
my adventure, his you know.
You got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got, yeah. And there I was in Samoa. I was there for about a year. It was like a kind of a rehab, I don't know, military academy, kind of therapist kind of place where there was a lot of therapists and we got counseling. There was never more than about 15 guys there.
Okay.
I would say I was definitely fortunate to be one that had a good head on my shoulders. Not everyone, right?
Yeah, that's a trip because you realize like how fucked up other dudes are.
Yes.
You were 17.
I was 17. Yeah.
When I was 17, I got arrested, and I had I had the same experience of
Really?
like, holy shit, like I am not as fucked up as I thought I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, curious in the context of.
Extreme racism in South Carolina.
Holy shit.
Yeah, the white
Okay.
chick I was with didn't get arrested. I got like cuffed foot and leg, or foot and arm, and like full fucking thing. They dragged.
Man.
I was at the river landing right next to where I grew up. It was like quarter mile away from my house. Can I call my mom? No, you don't have any rice. Like, full racist. Like you are like. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they called like the police chief of the town. It was this whole debacle. It was essentially this like sting operation where they'd try to get younger kids who had like good kids. 'Cause I was like lined up to be the like one of the captains of my soccer team. Like played soccer my whole life, so I like had a future. And like they basically will leverage these kids' futures, which is super fucked up, and get them to snitch on kids that are older than them who are selling weed to the other kids. Super small town shit.
Wow.
So they're like, we're gonna charge you with everything that we can possibly charge you with. You know, possession of a fake or altered ID, minor in possession of tobacco, which is ridiculous. 2 IDs, tobacco, paraphernalia. I had a broken bong, and possession of cannabis. I had like scraps underneath my seat, and they're like, we're gonna leverage everything that we can against you and try you as an adult because you're 17 in South Carolina. Or you can talk to our drug enforcement agency over here and collaborate, and we'll just make all this go away. And it was my resource officer from my high school who like protected me from my teachers who knew I smoked weed. He used to hide my jacket. He'd be like, dude, you reek of weed. Like, put your jacket in my car. Looking out for people just so he could fuck you over. And I did like the most like gangsta G'd up fucking thing I've ever done. I like spat in his face. I was like, fuck you, take me to jail. And he's like, okay. And he took me to jail.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but my whole life was over at that point. Basically, all the soccer stuff ripped away. All the college opportunities to play soccer ripped away. My ex-girlfriend had just gotten pregnant like earlier that year by another guy. Like it was, yeah. But I just feel you of being at that moment at 17 where you like think that you're a man. You feel that you're like on your way to your adventure, and then things like crash around you, and then you get this weird thing where you like think you're fucked and you're mad at the world, and then you see these other guys for a second, and you're like, it gives you this like you're forced to acknowledge like how good you actually do fucking have it.
Yeah. That's dead on.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a trip.
It is. It
It's
is.
cool that you get that.
Yeah. It's important to have those experiences when you can really be grateful even when you're in a shit show, right?
Yeah.
In the midst
It took
of
me years to understand that I was grateful even.
Yeah.
Still. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, so okay. So I ended up in Samoa in this program.
Yeah.
A majority of these guys would spend about 2 to 3 years there in the program. Mm-hmm. I was lucky enough to kind of breeze through it. It was kind of had some progression. They wanted to see how the patient is progressing and developing, and I spent about a year there.
Okay. Holy shit.
Yeah, a year there. It was, I've always been someone to try to just make the best of whatever situation I have in front of me. And speaking of it now, I actually think that may have been the first time in my life that kind of naturally happened for me. Because at some point, though I knew that I didn't want to be there, that I wanted to get away, and this wasn't part of the plan.
Yeah.
I was in it was a beautiful island. They would take us out on the weekends to nature, to waterfalls,
Wow.
across the island, obviously under the supervision. But there were beautiful aspects of that they integrated into this program that really got the youths to try to connect more with nature, with the Samoan culture, which speaks a lot more to like earning your respect rather than I'm privileged and deserve respect just because I am, who I am. And it was definitely what I needed at that point in my life. It most certainly was, and it would take me time to recognize that. But it was there that I sobered up, that I finished high school, like online.
Yeah.
And it was there that I began to formulate my next step in life, which would be moving to Israel.
Cool.
My father is Israeli. My mother's American. I grew up visiting Israel quite a bit.
Cool.
And I'm Jewish. And initially, when I figured I wouldn't go off to college, the kind of default in the States is okay, no college, Army, U.S. military. And so I was.
They almost got me too, man.
Did they?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You're a leader, boy. You need to be out here. You're different, boy. I'm like, am I? Like, okay.
Well, I'm curious. Was there a draw of that to you?
There was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Spec Ops path, the Green Beret. Yeah. Like, it was definitely interesting. Because they do see these, like, wayward youths who have, like, an ability to lead. Like, they see kids who are, they're smart about their fucking marketing, man.
Yeah.
Like, they're real crafty with it. But there was a draw. There was, just because you don't really know what to do per se, and they offer you, which I am weary of, especially in America, but they offer you, not really, they offer you a path forward. I'm weary for myself, but like trying to see through my own like jadedness of just like rebelling against authority. Like they do offer you something, and for like a man with no purpose, a young man with no purpose, like it was like arguably one of the most dangerous organisms in the world. Like it does offer you something. And structure and like family, and like it'll make you a man.
Definitely.
Some sort of man. I don't know what kind of man, but some sort of man for sure. Can you let's pause for a second and switch batteries, and then we'll go into chapter 2.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, brother. So we needed to change out our little battery setup. Super mobile, ultra mobile. Holy shit! Look at the moon, dude. Holy fuck.
Oh wow.
Wow. I hate to do that to people watching video, but they're. Beautiful moon over there. I don't think you're going to be able to see it, but we'll get some B-roll footage after. Do you have your phone?
I do have my phone.
Grab a clip.
Should I take a picture?
Yeah, we'll throw it in there real quick. Throw it in the edit.
Daddy will do it justice.
Oh,
we're going to give it a shot.
We're going to try. So, we're going to go into like a little chapter 2-zy here. So bring us to Israel now. You're now in your story. You're a man. Been through some trials and tribulations. You've gone through this like big sort of rehab moment where you've kind of cleaned up your act a little bit, and your kind of feet are back in the ground. You've gotten some perspective. A lot of that angst is, I assume, still there, but you have a better container for it now.
Definitely.
And you're like, I'm going to go to Israel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. For me, it just kind of fell into place that would be the next step. I think many times in life it's never 100% clear, right? That we're making the right move. But this felt relatively spot on for what I wanted. It was a mix of moving to the other side of the world, which was the adventure that I was searching for, living in a new culture, learning a new language. And likewise, the Army service, for me...
The IDF?
The IDF, correct. Joining the IDF, for me, felt a lot more meaningful than joining the U.S. military, just being Jewish and
it's wild having that choice between the two.
Definitely. I think beyond that, serving in Israel, you are... because there's a mandatory draft, so everyone serves.
Everybody's
guys
doing it,
and girls. So your experience is easily relatable to the entire population. Whereas in the States, a lot of times veterans feel kind of lost after their service, right?
Yeah.
People don't really connect or understand them.
Yeah.
Likewise, because Israel's never deploying overseas, we're always within the borders unless there is an operation or a war.
Yeah. Which there is now.
Which there is now, yes.
We'll get there.
We'll get there, yeah. But because Israel's never deploying troops abroad, so likewise, there's a very nice balance of personal life while you're serving.
Yeah.
So instead of being sent to Afghanistan for, a 6-month, a year deployment,
Yeah.
you are usually doing your training or you're on base, wherever it is that you're serving, at the most for 3 weeks until you'd be let out for, at the shortest, a weekend to go see your family and your friends and spend, the weekend at home and see your brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
So there's really this good, healthy balance, I felt like.
Mm-hmm.
And likewise, the aspect of, obviously, loaded subject and controversial, but feeling that I'm protecting protecting the land where I live and a lot of my family lives and friends. And
there's a lot of pride in Judaism in general. So like you're kind of finding fulfillment through what would it be? The articulation of that pride?
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
I'm a little bit Jewish, like, I'm gonna give you a little fucking
Right
Jewish
on.
fist bump. I'm like fucking like 1/20th Jewish or
Okay.
something, but somewhere in there. Actually, I think a lot more Jewish than I think. Pretty sure. My mother's side of the family is from like Paris,
Okay.
in France, and I'm pretty sure they're all Jewish. I don't really know.
Interesting.
I'm an uncultured fuck, but yeah.
You gotta do one of those gene tests. Figure that,
I know,
figure that out. Yeah.
But I do like understand just from I guess like in what would the word just outside perspective, like growing up around it and like knowing enough about it that there is just this like deep pride. So it makes sense that that would give you a path to fulfillment.
Yes.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah, which is what we're looking for as young men.
Correct. Correct. So all of those pieces really just came together and made it clear in my mind that that's the move that I was going to do. Gave me the adventure. The Army gave me the opportunity for personal growth, facing myself with challenges, physical challenges, mental challenges,
Yeah.
pushing myself to my limits. And it was, I tried out right away for the most difficult unit in the Army. That's the Israeli Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
There's thousands of Israelis every year that will try out for that, and 60 are accepted.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
That's a wild percentage.
Yeah, very small percentage.
Yeah.
I was one of those 60
Cool.
that made the cut.
Respect.
The training is 2 years long, and throughout the 2-year training, half of the 60 get cut down to 30.
Fuck. Wow.
And at the end of the year, you have 30 guys that are the SEALs.
Wow.
I ended up getting cut. A lot of it actually was had to do with once I did a polygraph and my whole history of Samoa and all those things came up regarding the drugs that I had done. I didn't tell them that when I was accepted. I assumed that amongst the large crowd of people trying out that if I had told them I'd done this drug and I was sent to Samoa, they would have been like, oh, all right, next. We'll take the next guy. Yeah. So a year into the training, we had a polygraph, and I ended up getting cut. From there, I dropped the structure in the IDF is that if you were in a top unit, then you will fall to another special operations unit from there. So from the Navy SEALs, I ended up dropping to a special operations unit in the Paratroopers Brigade.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where I spent the rest of my service.
So how long did you serve for then? Like, so you got in, within that 2 years you got cut, and then you transferred to another, like how long was this whole escapade?
So the SEALs was 1 year of my 3-year service.
Okay.
Had I made it to the SEALs, I would have been required to do 5-year total service.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so you have to sign on extra.
Yeah.
When I fell, I moved to the last 7 months of the special ops paratroopers training.
Yeah.
And so it would have been at about a year and 7 months in that I became like an active special ops paratrooper.
Okay.
And the total service was 3 years.
Fuck.
And actually back then in 2014 there was...
This was a while ago.
Yeah, this is when I was about 19, 20 years
you
old.
went right in, huh?
Yeah. There was a war, an operation in Gaza back then as well. That was called Operation Protective Edge. That was in response to a lot of rockets being fired and in the beginning of the tunnels being built in Gaza.
Okay.
But that was a very short operation that was about 2 weeks until a ceasefire was called upon and things quieted down.
They chilled.
Chilled, yeah.
10 years or whatever, right?
Until
October 2023?
7th. Yeah, October 7th. Yeah.
Okay. So then, like, what happened, like, with your, like, kind of military life? Like, you just fucked up, like, you exited.
Yeah. You're saying, like, once you are disbanded, once you finish your service?
There was, like, this relative ceasefire, and you did your service, and then you kind of went off and did your thing?
Correct. I finished my service, honorably discharged. Mm-hmm. And there is reserve duty that you'll do throughout the years, but maybe that's about like 2 weeks of training a year, just to kind of.
But you're
stay.
Still in there.
Yeah, but that'll just be in mainland Israel doing some sort of training just to stay relatively sharp. Yeah. If there is a war in the future.
Yeah, but you're part of the reserves, like
part of the reserves, correct? Okay. Correct. I believe that pretty much anyone that's in a combat unit will be in the reserves for quite some time. Yeah. But once I finished the army, must have been about 22. It's very typical for Israelis to spend a year traveling, taking like a gap year, to kind of find themselves and see the world before moving on to university or whatever it is that they do.
Yeah.
So I actually worked for a year, living in Israel alone. I didn't really have the financial backing of my family. Most Israelis lived at their parents' houses.
Yeah.
Had food.
Your family was not out there?
No, I moved alone. This is all completely alone.
Shit.
Yeah, I guess I should have mentioned that.
Out there.
Yeah, I was alone.
Fuck, that's wild.
Yeah, that I guess there you go. More on the what spoke to me of being an adventure.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
That was 18 years old, moved alone. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was my big.
Hebrew?
I learned it there.
Fuck.
I learned it there.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Okay. Respect.
Yeah. That was my big into the wild Christopher McCandless adventure.
I get it now. That makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
I worked for a year, saved money, headed out, traveled for a year, did a big trip. That was with my first girlfriend. We traveled, did a road trip in a camper van across Australia, New Zealand.
Wow.
Went to Thailand for a little bit. That was a beautiful trip.
Sick.
I ended up coming back to Israel. I then decided that I had a scholarship to study for free.
Wow.
And there was kind of an expiration date on that. So, although I was never too keen on feeling like you necessarily need to study.
Yeah.
And likewise, I am definitely a kinesthetic learner. And so sitting in school does not do it for me.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I'm the same.
You're the same, yeah.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's real tough.
It's real tough, yeah. If only, I don't know, I hope one day they will really have some mainstream type of, I don't know, Montessori schooling
I'm saying, dude.
For like college students, right? I mean,
hands-on learning, man.
Yeah.
There's got to be some. There are things like, the schooling system is breaking down. So when things I think break down, there's an opportunity for something else to be built. Mm-hmm. But we'll see if people actually do that.
We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because there's a lot of people like us out there that need the stimulation and the hands-on, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's based on the education model now is based off of like the Industrial Revolution to be good factory workers.
Right.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
No. It's outdated.
Yeah. It's fucked. Yeah. But cool. So you went to school.
Yes. So I went to school. I didn't know what I wanted to study, so I right away just picked economics and business management.
That's tough.
Yeah, did that for a year and I hated it.
That's tough as shit, dude.
Oh my God, math was not doing it for me. The numbers, no. I don't know, maybe I felt like at that point, like, okay, well, I'm going to go to university anyways. I'm not going to like it anyways. Like, I'm not going to like anything. So whatever, I'll just pick something. I saw the value at that point in life in utilizing the scholarship. I understood that there's a lot of...
Yeah, I mean, that's a massive opportunity. Like, something that you definitely don't want to squander.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So as much as I didn't necessarily at that point feel like I wanted or was ready to go to university, I did it to take advantage of the scholarship.
Yeah.
That year gave me the opportunity to think a little bit more for the coming year.
Yeah.
And I realized I did not want to study that. I found a program for sustainability and government,
Cool.
a double major. And growing up, my family always put a big emphasis on the environment, taking care of the environment. And so I just felt like that, I didn't know if I would work in that necessarily or do something with that. But it felt like at least this is something that I'm relatively passionate about.
Just directionally correct, right?
That I connect with.
Yeah.
And I'll probably enjoy a lot of the different studies in that field of sustainability.
I did something similar. I went for environmental science and environmental studies and then environmental science, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that like two separate...
environmental studies first, and then environmental science.
Afterwards. Okay.
Yeah. Because I was like, this is not it. It's too vague. And then I was like, I want to go more specific. And then for me, I was not getting to the root of the problem anyway. So I just ended up taking I tried to pull out for a semester, and they did some weird shit where they basically pulled my financial aid out from under me. And they're like, yo, it's $10,000 if you want to go to your class. And I was trying to go back after taking a semester off just for mental health stuff. I just felt like I needed to spend time doing yoga and meditating, essentially, and journaling. I was I feel like as I went in this gap year, and I tried to go back to school because my parents were like, please go to school, and I was like, I'll try, but I felt like I had found something that I wasn't really answering the call to. So I tried for a year and a half, and I was I need to. I was just having a really hard time. I think I took too many credits, trying to I was smart growing up, so I was I need to be a scholar. I think it was just too much. So I tried to just pull out just drop a few classes and then take a few weeks, just the rest of that semester. And I tried to go back and register for my classes. I was trying to get my books, and I just couldn't get my books. I went to the office. I was like, what's going on? We negated your, I don't know what the fuck exactly happened, but they're you owe us $10,000. And I was like, I don't have that. So I had to pull out this giant loan, and then I still couldn't register for classes even with the loan. They're like, your loan needs to be paid off completely. I was like, what are you talking about? So for me, I was just I don't need to be doing this right now. Life is kind of showing me no, closed door. I'm gonna shut the fuck up and listen, and I just never ended up going back. But yeah.
Wow. I'm curious, your resilience in moving forward in these kind of moments in life where you just get slapped in the face.
Yeah.
And these curveballs. Where did that originate from on your end?
Let me boost our light a little bit.
Yeah.
For me, I just went through some really fucking dark shit when I was 16. And, that I mentioned, my, the love of my life or whatever, getting pregnant by a pretty abusive guy when her mother moved her away. She lost her virginity to him, that we had promised to each other, that I had been abstaining from this whole thing, where my life was just kind of crash around me. And so I mean, at that point, I went through there's one really deep crux moment for me where it's I'm either gonna die or live, it's sink or swim. And I just had that moment of looking over the edge of really full. I mean, people have those moments of not really wanting to be alive, but I had that moment where I was I am gonna look at this thing and see if I want to kill myself right now. I didn't do it, obviously. And for me, that was just I don't know, my dog came in and sat next to me, and I was just I have shit to do. That, as simple as it is, I was just I have shit to do. And I'm not gonna hop out. So for me, after that moment, it was just I don't really have a fucking choice. I chose to live, I'm gonna fucking live. I'm just gonna keep doing the thing. So whenever these things would come up, I was just I'm gonna keep going. And I'd already grown up I related to your upbringing like a lot, like just kind of like being like just being a little bit different, like kind of having a hard time relating to the conventional norm and the stereotypical path. But like I grew up with this complex of like, it's really hard to explain. It's something that I haven't really realized until recently, like how much it actually affected me. But like, dude, just like being like, I mean, I have like two like very white parents, and like, you know, I have like blue green eyes, and I'm mixed, and I grew up in the South. Like, there's no mixed kids. Like, black kids stick with black kids. I'm like this weird like two white for the blacks, two black for the whites type thing of like just being different. And like from a kid, even just having these different colored eyes, like people would always tell me like, you're different. And like they're meaning well, but like it really kind of disjointed my perspective, I think, and like really just kind of alienated me like from the jump. Like, I mean, like my earliest interaction with society as I start to understand these are people, this is me, was you're different than them. So I've always had to develop this ability to self-regulate and like kind of be willing to walk by myself against the tide or against the current or whatever. So I think that it served me a lot. I think it was very difficult for me a lot of times, but it served me, and it allowed me to be like, this is the norm, this is what my parents want for me, this is what I quote unquote should be doing, but like I don't fucking want to do this. And like I already almost like killed myself, so I'm like, I'm good, like I'll walk into the darkness, like let's fucking go, like I'm with it, like I've lived there for a long time, like I'm not really concerned. So I think that's where a lot of that came from.
It's incredible, man.
Thanks.
That's
man.
incredible. Yeah.
I think, yeah, it relates a lot to your story.
Yeah. It seems like those were, I mean, both you and I had these early moments in life where we may not have understood it then. We definitely understand now that challenge is where the growth is. The uncomfortable places, the difficult places. When you face those head on, that's when you come out a lot stronger on the other side, right?
100%. Yeah, just the willingness to face it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the obstacle is the way, like a sort of stoicism of like, I'm gonna go into this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that also made me think actually a lot about our surf session yesterday.
Oh God,
That's
when we like really became friends.
Yeah.
They're like, we're the only dudes out in the water. Just
Yeah.
finally make it out there after like 25 minutes trying to make it off the damn beach. And you're out there, you're like, pretty tough out here, huh? And I'm like, yeah, dude, what's up, man?
Oh man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's exactly that. I mean, that's the analogy, right? Like
Yeah.
getting knocked back time and time again by this horrible sea conditions.
Yeah.
But there's something in us that just clicked that I'm not gonna give up. Like, all right,
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah, like you can drown me if you want. Like it's fine. Like I'm still here. Like,
Right.
We're good.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then we do make it through, and then we see that it's raining. It doesn't make any sense. And then just the sun pops out for his sunset. This glorious blood red savannah looking like
Oh my God.
insanity.
Oh my
and
God.
we're like, wow, this was like, this alone was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we may have been the only people that actually got to see that
Yeah, a
beautiful
lot of other
sunset.
people were on the beach too, and they're like, "There's no sunset." We're like, "There was sunset."
Yeah, the waves were. I think the tall waves were covering it,
Yeah.
and so only we got to see it past the waves.
Yeah, on the other side of that darkness and abuse, like we fucking
we saw the. Yeah, we
yeah,
got
we
to
saw
the beauty.
light.
We got the light.
If you stay in the abyss long enough, you'll see the light.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hell
That's
yeah.
so funny because a lot of people are like, "Stare not ye into the abyss, for the abyss will look back." And there's like this like Jordan Peterson quote where he's like, "I think you haven't looked long enough."
Oh, that is great.
Yeah. And Lex Friedman is asking him the question. He's like, "Are you sure about that?" He's like, "I'm betting my life on it." And like I really relate to that. Like
Yeah.
especially now as like a coach and like a guy. Coach is such a shit like title because it's such a cheesy like cliche summation of what I do. But like I help people through the darkest moments of their life, and like I think that's. I'm so grateful for the darkness that I went through now because like now people can tell me like I'm trying to kill myself, or I've saved people's lives, I've stopped them from killing themselves, I've been into these dark places with people, and I'm not gonna flinch. I'm like, you're not gonna scare me.
Yeah.
Like I'm here with you, brother or sister. Like we're good.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, you want to die? I'm like cool. I understand. What are we gonna do about it? You know?
How do we move forward?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, cool. And I
Yeah.
think that's important for people to do because like so much of the angst is just like this shame about not wanting to be alive anymore. It's just like, dude, it's cool. Like everybody feels like that sometimes. I think
Yeah.
most people are not being 100% honest if they say they haven't at least considered it.
Right.
You know, it's like part of growing up.
Yeah.
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 It's just consideration of mortality,
Definitely.
right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. But dude, so there's a couple
Yeah.
more things.
Oh, yeah.
We're really running out of light here.
Okay.
And I think we've done a good bit of time, but there are a couple things I wanted to ask
Yes.
you about.
Okay.
That I think you can offer unique perspectives
Mhm.
on. one particular, and we totally don't have to get super deep into this if you don't want to, but I would love if you could just share, maybe not necessarily an over politicized opinion, but your opinion of just being in Israel and fighting in the war.
Yeah.
Let me just give some context. I spend a lot of time disassembling people's opinions because in America everybody wants to have a fucking opinion. I'm like, you don't know shit. People want to know my opinion. I'm like, I will start off by offering that I don't know enough about this. It's fucked. That's the only opinion I'm really gonna give, is that it's fucked. There's no real way to win. People that are being killed have a right to defend themselves, and also every person that they kill creates another member of Hamas. Jihadists gonna jihad.
Yeah.
That has to be addressed.
Yeah.
A lot of this is a proxy war largely driven by Iran.
Yeah.
It's fucked. And there's all these people, these hyper liberal people in New York that are ripping down missing children
I've
posters.
seen that.
And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? There is a woman out there that is missing her child, and you want to rip down posters and say free Palestine? I'm like, free Palestine in what way? What solution are you actually suggesting? It's just free what? From the river to the sea? Is that what we're talking about? So it's just there's so much missing context. So I just appreciate you because first of all, I know that we can have conversations that we already just come at things from a different perspective, veganism and the whole plant-based thing and carnivore and all that shit. I don't think that we're on either side, but we were able to have a really lively discussion about that yesterday. But I just would love to know from somebody who does have more context, I guess, just what you as not political overview, not some super educated view, just what you feel and what you've experienced as a young man out there.
All right. Yeah. So the quick context, I guess, for those listening is that on the 7th of October, I was called back to reserve duty and have been fighting for the past 4 months in Gaza. Yeah.
Fuck. Jesus, dude, you're in there.
Was in there, part of the entire thing going on and that's being heard about in the news.
Yeah.
So first of all, I think you said some amazing things.
Thank God.
Yeah.
You're fucked, dude. I'm all right, whatever.
Yeah. No, really. I mean, just the fact that people like to form opinions without actually knowing or looking deeply into an issue, I think is a little bit silly. Right? If you do a lot of research, if you've done more than just watch some Instagram and TikTok posts, if you've done beyond that, then I'd say, okay, let's sit down, talk, let's have an opinion.
Right.
But the amount of people I've met on this trip, I've met a lot actually that actually did research and understand that it's a very complex issue and have a lot of understanding towards what Israel is going through and the way that our response has been.
Yeah.
But plenty that are just very much so what I feel is uninformed.
Yeah, and they're also probably the most passionate.
So and I don't know how to confront that or how to sit down. I mean, it's not. I feel like I'm talking to a brick wall.
Right, because they're not there to receive. They've defined their opinion. They're gonna tell you what's what, and you're
Correct.
I'm actually out there, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my experiences. Well, I would say this on the 7th of October, there was the big massacre of the Noga Music Festival in the south of Israel.
Right.
Thousands of Hamas personnel came in to Israel and massacred tons of civilians, babies, at a lot of the settlements in the south. There are little villages where people are kind of inhabiting the desert of Israel.
Yeah.
One of which I lived for 7 years when I was younger, actually in my
wow.
active service. My ex-girlfriend is one of the kidnapped, obviously an ex-girlfriend when I was 20 years old, so I wouldn't say it was a very significant.
But still, it's real.
A girl that I had, very...
love. It's
yeah.
It's tangible.
Yes, her and her brother are one of the kidnapped folks being held in Hamas's captive.
Still?
Still. Have not been released,
Christ.
yeah. And on the 8th of October, so on the 7th of October, we were called to reserve duty. By the 8th, I'd say in the by noon, me and my team were already in the south of Israel fighting the ongoing fight in Israel to clear Israel of Hamas.
Right. That was the immediate priority, right? It was just clearing the people who had penetrated the borders. Right?
Correct, correct. Clearing the borders, pushing everything back to the borders, and reestablishing our borders.
And like just from a fucking pragmatic perspective, like when people are like, "Stop!" Like, what do you expect? What do you expect them to do?
It's funny. Israel is held to such a double standard.
Oh my God, held to, complex place.
Yeah,
obviously.
Very, yeah. We get rockets shot at us very, very consistently, and these rockets are not shot at military outposts, which, if you were, an outside country that really wanted to rebel or fight back, well, the way that you typically do it is by targeting military.
Right.
When you target civilians, that's the definition of terrorism.
Right. That is the fundamentals of jihad, right?
Correct. Correct. Yeah. It's in their doctrines to eliminate Israel, to eliminate the West.
Right.
But Israel has just grown accepting of receiving rocket fire from our neighbor countries. We developed the Iron Dome, an incredible piece of technology that shoots down these rockets, not 100% of the time, but does a very good job at protecting the civilians.
It's like 80+%, though, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, about 80+%. Now, keep in mind, each rocket that we shoot costs about $250,000. Yeah. So it's expensive, and the amount that they shoot towards us is quite a bit. So that's, my tax money. Yeah. Going up in flames.
Largely supplied and propagated by Iran, right?
Yes. Hamas is a proxy of a terrorist organization. It's a proxy of Iran.
Yeah.
Same with Hezbollah in the north.
Right. Same thing, just another arm, right?
Just a different arm and a lot more well put together. Hezbollah has a lot better weaponry, a lot longer range missiles, ballistic missiles, a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
So on the 8th of October, I walked through those kibbutzim, the settlements in the south, where I'm sure people have seen pictures of slaughtered.
Yeah.
I was there when there was still the slaughtered babies and slaughtered mothers amongst men and on the grounds.
Yeah.
And that was just such a wild thing to see with my own eyes. In what I felt was my home, you know? And I wouldn't have believed in a million years that this would happen in home.
Like the places that you've walked.
At the places that I've walked, correct.
Yeah.
And you see the blood splattered, and I mean, it's just it's a graphic and horrible thing that, not for all to hear. But
it's traumatic fundamentally, though. Right?
Definitely. But in the interesting fact is that the IDF, the amount of soldiers that have PTSD is very low, actually. When
guy's moving down this road, dude.
Yeah. It's very low rates when compared to the U.S. military, and I believe it is just that all the operations and things that we do are really protecting. You subconsciously understand why I'm seeing these things, why I'm going through this horrible thing, because these are my people laid out on the floor, that have been massacred. And I think internally, as horrible as it is to see those things, internally it does something in your subconscious that you better understand and can better internalize it all.
Yeah.
In the context of Gaza, listen, I will say that Israel is not perfect. It's not a perfect country any democracy and any country.
Every major fucking Western-ish country, or not, they're not. I guess they're not really Western, but Westernized, modern, whatever.
It's
fucked.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's every country has their issues.
Right.
Before the war, our government was kind of falling apart with Mr. Netanyahu.
Yeah.
Right, trying to retain his power with charges against him. I think similar to kind of like Trump's predicament. There's the issue of the West Bank, which, the people in the West Bank are living very difficult and uncomfortable lives. How the West Bank came to be and why it came about, there's a lot of history there that
It's where things get ultra complex, right?
Yeah, it gets very complicated, but there is, if you're not trying to be biased to one side, the same way that I'm openly saying that, they are living uncomfortable and very unpleasant lives.
Yeah.
But the context of why that came about and why there's closed off borders because of intifadas that were carried out in Israel,
Right.
Waves of terror attacks that were coming through there. Well, that's, why did after 9/11, why did security get heightened in airports, right?
Yeah.
And so
you see it from this perspective of like obviously, like, I mean, like, you're a good dude. You have a really like big heart. So like I know, like, so you see, just I don't know, because like people are like, there's been a genocide happening, an ethnic cleansing happening for 10 years, and they
Right.
say like you need to like we have to stop because of like,
Right.
whatever, like this has been happening forever. Like you see the complexity in that circumstance, and like it's just obviously fucked, but it's like, what do you do about it, kind of, because of the intifadas?
Right. Well, yes, I would say a couple points to that. I'd say, first of all, the term genocide,
Strong term.
it's a very strong term.
I don't know if that's legit.
Right.
I really don't.
In the context of saying genocide, like South Africa,
So that's the comparison that people
That is the
use
comparison.
a lot, and I'm like, is it?
when I hear that, I just tell people, come to Israel.
Like yeah.
Like, come to Israel. I'd say there's three things going on in Israel. You have mainland Israel,
Right.
you have the West Bank, and you have Gaza.
And the
But-
West Bank is like the worst.
West Bank is correct. It's cut off, bordered. It's
Right.
split.
That's the open air prison.
That's the open air prison that they
Okay.
say. Yes, correct. There is 3 sections to it. There is an area in the West Bank where only Jews are living. There's an area where Jews and Arabs are living, and there's an area where only the Arabs live,
Jesus.
and Jews cannot enter.
Oh shit.
It's run by the PLO, right? So we've given the authority and power to their own kind of governing system.
Are they run by Hamas?
They're so PLO is not Hamas. There are a lot of Hamas operatives and fundamentalists that do come out of the West Bank.
Yeah.
There's different jihadi fighters and groups there. Some of the other names will come to my mind as we go on.
So it's much more than just Hamas, though.
Yes,
And
correct.
it's like we kind of probably oversimplify
Yeah,
the issue to like genocide, Hamas, Israel.
correct,
Yeah.
for sure. The West Bank is definitely the most complicated issue of them all. It's exactly like we're saying that on one hand, Israel's closed off the borders because of all the waves of terror that have come out of
Due
there.
to a certain necessity, to a certain extent, like regardless of like the historical background of like whose land it is, which is also just an ultra complex problem. It's
Correct.
just like, what do you do?
Right.
Like you, at the end of the day, like you are a governing body, and you have to protect women and children and innocent civilians, right?
Correct. And the fact of the matter is that all of the surrounding Arab countries don't want anything to do with the issue. They've been asked many times to assist, right? In all of these events, they have a strong say in the pro-Palestine cause. Yet when push comes to shove, and they're asked, okay, please take, refugees. All of the people in Gaza that have been pushed to the south to make way for the fighting. They've been all these countries have been asked, okay, please take some of these refugees. They're living in horrible conditions right now. They're caught in the middle of a war.
And they turn their backs, right?
No one wants to take them.
Yeah.
No one wants to help.
Yeah.
And so likewise, I ask, so why does the world turn to Israel and say it's your issue? I mean, we have nothing to do with these people. Yeah,
we've been essentially just like burdened with, I mean, like it's like y'all's problem.
Yeah. For some reason, it's our problem.
And whoever's fucking problem it is going to have those issues.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be crucified via social media and media in general, right?
Correct.
So it's like it's a fucked up just paradox of some sort that like where you're just fucked. It's an ultra complex problem.
Yes.
That's ultra fucked.
Yes.
To put it bluntly. Like there's no way to handle it.
It's very, very complicated, and it's hard for me. Listen, if you go back in history, you know, two-state solutions were actually put on the table for peace in the
right,
past.
And they were like pushed away, right?
Not by Israel. They were pushed away by the other sides. We actually agreed when the United Nations gave Israel its independence. Originally, it was supposed to be shared.
Yeah.
And upon the independence, the surrounding Arab countries told all of the Arabs living in Israel, leave Israel temporarily. We are going to attack Israel, destroy the Jewish state, and then you guys will return and we'll have an entire, you know, Muslim Arab country.
Yeah, was that Iran?
That was all of the surrounding countries. That was
like Saudis and everybody.
That was Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and I want to say like another one or two.
When was that?
That was in '94.
Okay.
Yeah. 1948. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like a few years after the establishment.
Upon the day of independence. We call it the Independence War. Yeah. The day of the independence, all the countries attacked. The Arabs fled. The Arab countries attacked, and Israel somehow, without even having established a proper army at that point, amongst all odds, won and survived. And actually, that right there is a large reason why you have so many people saying, my grandparents still have the key to their home, but they were displaced.
Yeah.
It was actually, for a large portion of those people, it was actually because the surrounding Arab countries told the Muslim population, leave, we're going to fight, clear out Israel, and then you guys can return home. But to their surprise, Israel won, and these people were left outside of Israel.
Super fucking complex, man.
Yeah. So that's the West Bank, and there's
so much to it.
Yeah. In light of the war in Gaza and where I took place fighting now, I will just say a couple things, and it's that the people living there are in a horrible, horrible position.
In Gaza?
100%.
The tunnels underneath and the
tunnels,
embedded with Hamas.
Yes. So, you know, I so many people say, but the death toll of civilians is so high, and the first thing I'll say is that the civilian death toll comes from the Gaza Health Ministry, which is run by Hamas.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are giving the information, which is so. I don't believe that it's the most accurate
when
information.
Statistics like that ever been accurate anyways, right? I mean, just like from a human perspective.
Yeah. It's a terrorist organization.
It is largely, I mean, this whole thing was like largely a political motive anyways to try to incite like sort of pity or criticism on Israel, right?
Correct.
Like it was largely a political thing.
This is part of their tactic. They are using their poor situation to work on the nerves and sympathy of many Westerners to garner their support.
Yeah. See these bats?
Yeah, I see these bats. Yeah, this is wild.
Bats.
This is wild. They see the bat signal. I guess the light that you put on it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But
so death toll, like probably inaccurate. You don't trust it.
Yeah, I think like a side note to that would be that the IDF gets scrutinized plenty. And we've learned that we need to document very well the amount of, death toll from the other side, the amount of civilian casualties. These are things that the IDF is documenting very closely for the day that they bring us to international court and say, hey, why'd you kill this many civilians? And we have to prove them that it's not true.
Yeah.
I remember at the beginning of the war, there was actually a hospital that was bombed and blew up.
Right.
And
I remember.
Yeah. And what actually came out upon that happening, the Hamas said Israel bombed the hospital, tons of civilians dead.
Yeah. And CNN and all them
CNN
fucking reported
put it
on it. Yeah,
all
like
out in the
completely
world.
verified it. Yeah.
And then the IDF showed footage we had on cameras from aerial drones from different areas.
Yeah.
And what we found was actually that Hamas had shot a rocket of their own that misfired,
Yeah.
was faulty, ended up taking a kind of a fall through the sky,
Yeah.
and actually ended up falling on their
In
own hospital.
The parking lot of their hospital, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And so I mention that because we see that Hamas is doesn't hesitate to lie for their cause, right?
That was such a telling moment. Like it was such a telling moment of just like what the fuck is happening, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? That they will blow up their own hospital and then quickly say, "Oh, IDF did it."
Yeah.
And it's crazy how quickly that passed over and how people quickly forgot about such evidence of their blatant lies for
Yeah.
their cause. But all that goes to say is, for example, the death toll.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there is a civilian death toll. That's
For sure.
for certain.
It's war.
It's war. And beyond that, no other country has had to fight a war where the enemy has spent 15 years building their infrastructure interwoven into all the civilian
Civilians.
infrastructures.
Yeah.
Whether it's tunnels in civilian houses, whether it's rigged explosives on civilian houses, on children's schools, cemeteries, mosques, their places of worship.
Yeah.
No other country has ever had to fight a war like this.
Yeah.
And, you know, you see videos and footage of Gaza, and it is destroyed.
Yeah.
It is rubble. And
Yeah.
I don't know how the people are going to go back to living there. And that's a very sad reality for them. I do not argue with that. The issue is that Hamas had turned everything that should not have been a threat into a threat for us.
Yeah.
And as a soldier with his boots on the ground, walking through a city, and it's my life on the line, and the IDF knows that they have to protect their soldiers' lives.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a big reason of all the destruction is that everything, whether a school, whether
Yeah.
it became a threat to us.
Yeah.
And a potential place where it could be rigged with explosives. It could be a terrorist that's going to shoot an RPG at us.
Yeah. Which is like the fucked up just atrocity of war, like the casualties of war.
Yeah.
Like even when people do talk about like civilian death tolls or like just I don't know the necessity of like at a certain point there's like a Hobson's choice of like you either like allow Hamas to be or you take Hamas out and like there will be civilian death tolls. It is war.
It is war.
And
Correct.
it's so fucked and like I think that's such a fundamental point that like I know that I don't get so I can like sort of project out from the fact that I don't get it and find a little bit more acceptance, but I think that that's something that people just struggle with. They're just like war bad and it's just like yeah dude, but like what do you do?
Yeah.
Like what do you do if somebody comes in and rapes your wife?
Yeah.
Yes, murder is bad, but like aren't you gonna do something?
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, yeah, so it's this weird Hobson's choice within the matter. But yeah, I feel for you a lot, and I'm really glad to be able to have this conversation because like I said, like you are like just a solid dude, and like I've not touched this like publicly at all because I'm not an idiot, and like everybody else wants to have an opinion on it. But I'm just really grateful to hear your perspective and your opinion, just because you are a solid, like well-rounded dude, and I think it just like will hopefully humanize this experience and this like fucking tragedy that's happening over there a little bit more for people, and just to be able to see that like you are a dude and like you are in this circumstance and like you just have to do the best that you can
Yeah.
in a situation that you know is fucked.
Yeah.
And it's like there's no clean way out. So it's like we just have to do our best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all we can do. Is try to do our best, and obviously there's many different perspectives and points to look at the issue. I think the most important thing for people to understand is that Hamas is not good for the Gazan people.
Yeah.
That's
No.
super important for people
Yeah.
to understand.
Like there's no option to leave them there.
The women don't have rights. I've seen homosexuals
Dude.
supporting. they behead homosexuals.
LGBTQ for
Yes.
Palestine. I'm like, do you get that they will throw you off a fucking building, dude?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That one blows my fucking mind in New York. Like LGBT, I'm like, shit, yeah.
So you can be pro-Palestine and whatever, feels right to you if you've, looked into it. But if you are pro-Palestinian, Hamas is not the answer. And Israel, there are videos now coming out in Gaza now that the Gazan people are seeing that Hamas is dwindling and having a little bit more confidence to actually speak up against Hamas, because if they had spoken up against Hamas when Hamas was in power,
Right.
they would be dead.
Yeah.
There's footage of Gazans themselves praising the IDF to destroy Hamas.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're not happy about all of the destruction that's happened in their country, but these people don't want Hamas in, and this is the older generation, I'd say, because one of the biggest issues is that for 15 years, the younger generation, the education system, has also been under Hamas's control.
Yeah.
So there's been a big brainwashing, I think, of the younger generation.
For sure, yeah.
For jihad, yeah.
Yeah.
Hamas is not good for the Gazan people. They need a stable government that, to move forward. Otherwise, their fate is going to be continually doomed.
Yeah. Shit, brother. I hope you just, I don't want to say like good luck, but like I hope like you just, I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. I hope that things work out, but I don't really see a clear path out. It's just gonna be it's gonna just be a continuation of some fucked up shit for a while, but yeah, man. I just appreciate you for having like an open perspective and just like being like a grounded individual amidst it. And it's just, I really hope that this conversation brings a lot of understanding to people, that it's not as simple as like free Palestine, or people like choose a side. Like, it's not that simple. Like, it's like, I don't think that, like, I know that you don't want to kill innocent Palestinians.
Right.
Obviously, like, you're a good dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking 31-year-old guy. Like, nobody wants death and destruction like that. Like, 3% of people are psychopaths. But, like, aside from that, like, people don't want this.
Right.
It's just like, we're doing the best that we can. Yeah. So, I want to, like, kind of pivot out as we kind of, like, come to a close in the conversation. And just kind of, like, bring it back to this ethos that I hope to be able to share with you. And I think it's really something that you already embody. And it's something that I think like we connect on, which is just cope, this idea of cope. So cope, again, like for me, I sort of assimilate this thing of like, doing cool shit, traveling, being in Costa Rica, taking this time for yourself to, a lot of this, as you said when I met you, is like you taking time to process all of this horror that you've seen, right?
Yeah.
And you're like doing something good for yourself. You're going and adventuring. You're going and reminding yourself of the beauty in the world. And so for me, cope, like the definition of cope, my actual definition, and the reason why I've chosen this term to kind of umbrella around everything that I do, is that we're not determined by what happens to us, but by how we cope with what happens to us. It's about our response. And to me, that's actually the true definition of what spirituality is. Like, there's a lot that we can't control, but there's one part that we can control, and that's our response. And that's how we deal with life. Is what do you choose? What are you going to do with this?
Right.
So I want to kind of pose a question to you, just like, how do you cope with life, man? Like, you've been through so much, so much. And like, honestly, like, just, I don't know how I feel about the whole fucking thing, but just like so much like respect to you for putting your life on the line to protect innocent people. Like, I know that call to be a warrior, and like I respect the fuck out of you for it, because like it is one of the most selfless things that you can do, and it is a beautiful thing, regardless of any fucking political bullshit. Fuck all of that. Like, you are a young man who's putting your life on the line to try to protect innocent civilians, and that's a beautiful thing, but it's a heavy cost.
Thank you.
So how do you cope, man, in life in general with all this?
Yeah. Well, I'll start by quoting my tattoo over here. It says that I think it hits on exactly what you said. We don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. And it's precisely that we're not in control of the external. Not always, right? Things happen to us, but we are in control of how we choose to see them and how we choose to act on them. And I think that was a lesson that I learned some years ago, and I've carried it through life because I've understood time and time again how empowering it is. Now, it's definitely not, that doesn't happen overnight that you pick up the understanding and the weight of this lesson. And likewise, there's moments where I forget that for a moment.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But the more, like a muscle, the more that you train it, the more it becomes habit and just automatic in how you function. How I've coped is always just trying to see the positive in everything. I try to find, in the worst of times, if you can just find the simplest, smallest things to say thank you for, to be grateful for, it changes your whole frequency. It's when you're surrounded by negative energies or negative influences or difficult circumstances, if you can find even the simplest things like having food on your plate, not everyone in the world has food to eat or clean water to drink. Obviously more powerful when you can kind of hit more significant things, but even when you feel like all you can be grateful for is the fact that you've got all your limbs still on you, right?
Yeah.
And that you can walk, right? Not everyone can walk,
Yeah.
It's a skill to learn how to be positive and to be thankful and grateful for what you do have.
Yeah. It's an act of faith. Yeah. 100%, dude. I got you, dude. Yeah. Can you give me 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect.
Sorry, my friend.
No, I appreciate you, brother. It's perfect timing.
Calling me, can I call
Yeah.
in again? What's up? I can see the guys in the camera here.
Oh, shit.
Three times. Tell
Perfect,
me
dude.
two words that I have.
2 minutes,
and
we're
we got you,
closing up,
brother.
and we'll be very careful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Got you. So really, I mean, it's an act of faith because it isn't about the significance of the thing. It's about just the act. It's not about the thing itself. It's not about the subject. It's about the act. Like, what an act of faith to say, like, this is good, that something is good here, that something is beautiful here, that I can find love here, that I can find gratitude, despite what's going on. Specifically, despite what's going on. Like, I'm going to look for love and beauty and good and grace. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Everyone in life has ups and downs. Everyone has better moments in life, less better moments.
Yeah.
But if you're in control of how you view those lesser, better moments, then you have all the means to stay overall happy in general throughout any period in life.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Find that joy, right?
Yeah, find that joy.
Yeah, and that's what I see you as, man. Just like such a joyful guy. Thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, man.
Johnny,
Thank
brother,
you.
dude.
Thank you for having me, man.
Dude.
That was incredible.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your experience. I hope that this brings people a lot of perspective into the world. And you're just a fucking rad guy, too. So I hope this inspires people to, find their adventure in life and to be who they are, to go on their unique adventure. And also, hopefully, I think you've offered some beautiful insights into that ultra complex circumstance out there. And again, my heart goes out to you, brother, for just fighting that fight. And I know it's complicated. I know it weighs heavy on you. So I'm happy to see you here, taking care of yourself, finding love and joy, and being able to share those waves with you. It's a blessing and an honor, man, to be able to just share and experience finding ourselves again, because I'm doing a lot of the same here. So it's a pleasure to be able to share this experience with you, brother.
Likewise, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Pura vida, bro.
Pura vida.
Cool.